In the days of yore, mankind was a hunter and gatherer society. We would forage for vegetables and berries. We created tools to outsmart and trap creatures for their meat. Along this path, we found another way. We learned how to till the fields, plant and grow crops. We domesticated the animals we once hunted to work alongside us. Humanity had subverted the food chain and chose to live outside of it. By creating farms that focused on food production, towns could be built for people to trade, and armies could be marshaled to protect these lands. Agriculture had become the cornerstone of human development, because at the end of the day, regardless of title, military strength, or social standing, you need to eat. The fields of our kingdom were once great, a rich land that brought forth a harvest that could supply our city and even our armies. But now, there was a rancid taste in the air. The smell is as foul as the rotten crop that it produces, fitting given its new name, the Foetor. When society fell, the fields began to wither. The soil itself became poisoned, such that no crops could be grown. Realizing the end was upon them, landowners and peasants alike began to feast. One last meal before the inevitable. They emptied the larders, consuming what food remained. They ate and ate and ate, gorging on vegetables from the harvest and the meat of their animals. Yet, they were still hungry. So they began to feast on each other. Consuming the flesh of the guests at the table, they grew more mouths to taste different foods and more teeth to chew faster. They were no longer human. They had become the Plague Eaters. Expeditions into the Foetor will face the hungry horde. Butchers wield a meat hook and a cleaver to cut slices of flesh off their victims. The dinner carts are an amalgamation of mouths and teeth. They have fattened themselves to the point that they need a cart to move. They will attack by raining acidic bile, using their utensils to slash their victims, and even regurgitating meat onto the battlefield. Maids carry a bucket of rancid slurry that is now infused into their arm. They will douse our heroes with a toxic sludge, inflicting blight damage. Ladies were among the gentry of the land. They stress our party with their singing and dancing, pulling our heroes out of rank and inflicting blight damage. The lords were once the wealthy landowners. They continue to act as rulers of their households. They use their baneful breath to weaken our heroes, and their fleshy backhand to knock them out of rank. They will also motivate their fellow Plague Eaters through tongue lashings, granting increased damage for the unit. It's not just humans who are affected, but also the few animals that remained in the pastures. Livestock were goats, but they have grown tumors alongside the extra mouths, teeth, and tongues. They will use their sturdy heads to headbutt our heroes, inflicting decent damage while knocking them back. They are also capable of pulling heroes forward with their many tongues. They might seem like weaker species of the Plague Eaters, but don't be fooled. Their true strength is when they are accompanied by the others. They gain buffs to their speed, strength, and resistances when they have butchers and maids to accompany them. Moreover, the maid can even give the livestock protection and riposte. Meanwhile, ladies and lords can feast on them to gain regeneration and an extra action. There's even an elite livestock, Black Phillip they call him. A mighty black ram whose large horns give him an almost demonic or even satanic appearance. Killing a Plague Eater isn't the end, for in the Foetor nothing is wasted. Least of all, a potential meal. For the gentry will devour the corpse of their fallen allies, regaining health and unlocking new and devastating abilities. The Plague Eater's appetite is seemingly bottomless. It appeared as if they would be interested in leaving the feeder, but there is something keeping them here. By the divine, the demonic, or just the strange and weird, trees of flesh and bone began to burst through the earth. These stalks, although nightmarish in appearance, give off such an aroma that the Plague Eaters can't help but be drawn to it, like moths to a flame, or flies to rotten meat. But what caused these stalks to grow? I have a theory on that. One that is only for those with intestinal fortitude. The landowner's manor. From the outside, we can still hear the crying of the child. When we enter the manor, we find the most disturbing sight. The harvest child. Born to a corpulent, half-eaten mother, the child is a ravenous avatar of degeneracy. The fight with the harvest child involves the lumps of putrid meat littering the banquet table. Throughout the battle, the aroma of meat will entice our heroes to move forward to the front ranks. Having our heroes out of place is an annoyance and a hindrance, but the real curse begins once they reach the front. They can no longer contain their hunger and will feast on the meat, lowering their max health for the battle. According to those that have partook, they say that it is a delicacy, one that they cannot wait for another bite. All the while, the harvest child will be attacking the party with his maws of life and sapid drippings, causing blight damage from his acidic saliva. The combination of Harvest Child's attacks with debuffs from the meat can make this fight a tricky puzzle that can fell many expeditions. The key is to prevent the heroes from reaching the front to eat the meat, locking one hero in front that will eat their share but prevent the others will allow them to focus on the child. Alternatively, blinding can be a powerful tool, not just on the Harvest Child, but also on the meat, preventing our party from being struck by their intoxicating odors. With the right team, this grotesque messiah can be erased from this earth. But what does all this have to do with the stalks? It's my theory that the stalks are a byproduct of the child's birth. I cannot say for certain which arrived first, the stalks or the child. I believe they call that conundrum the chicken or the egg. Either the harvest child's birth brought the stalks forward from their nightmare pit, or the stalks heralded the child's birth at the final feast. Regardless, the two share a connection of some kind, and references of an avatar of degeneracy is not something I can easily brush off. Not after the things I've seen. Dispatching the Harvest Child will grant us one of two trophies. Either the Harvest Bounty, which grants us plentiful space in our wagon for loot, food, and equipment, or we receive the Bumper Crop, which grants us a boon in health, but a penalty in our death's door resistance. In the feeder, we gather silver spoons as relics. The silver might hold value for those that seek it. There is no philosophical rambling this time. No, this is just to remind yourself that moderation is the key to everything in life. A spoonful of sugar, a spoonful of salt. Not too much, but not too little either. It was here I got my start, among the hardy folk of the fields. They were wary of outsiders, but I eventually gained their trust, and then their friendship. I would listen as they told their stories, of rumors, myths, and legends of the land. From the monsters that stalked the fields at night, to the heroes that rose to defeat them. I eagerly listened and wrote them all down as we sat next to the campfire. The oldest and truest form of storytelling. A wasteland of gluttony. The plague eaters feast in the face of the end. The tendrils of rot continue to placate the horizon. To see such a once fertile and beautiful land fall to famine and cannibalism is a horrific sight. Yet, we must keep going if we are to reach the mountain. So take a deep breath, cover your nose, and grit your teeth.
The harvest is here. Pity those with a place at the table.